I've never been this close. It's the outside.
So is that everything you hoped for?
The Last of Us Remake? Don't need one. How can a game not even a decade old, one that has already received a next-gen aligning remaster, even be considered for a full remake treatment? This is how I felt when I first heard mumblings of a PS5 reimagining of Ellie and Joel's maiden tale, less than a year after I'd guided them through their second blockbuster outing in The Last of Us 2. Truthfully, the idea of Naughty Dog remaking Naughty Dog's 2013 masterpiece felt premature, in the same way young celebrities really shouldn't write memoirs under the age of 25. As a means of getting up to speed ahead of The Last of Us 2, I replayed the first game and rolled straight into the second. And while there was an obvious jump in visual quality, the gap felt like an organic one, that technology had moved on in the 7 years between outings, and that by acknowledging this, I was in a better position to appreciate both games for what they were. And then, bang! The Last of Us Part 1, officially revealed in all its glory during the Summer Game Fest at E3 2022. It was unexpected, and it looked so positively gorgeous that I found myself eating my words faster than a clicker gnawing on a hapless human's neck. What the hell do I know anyway? The hows and whys of The Last of Us Part 1 are undoubtedly multifaceted. When I put my original reservations about a The Last of Us remake to the wider GamesRadar Plus team, my colleagues had a number of theories as to why it makes sense at this point in time. The cynics among us recognise that a better looking game creates new business opportunities. 9 years on from the original, there are inevitably players who are yet to experience the OG adventure, and thus remaking it against today's standard is a surefire way to reignite interest. This same logic extends to players who played and enjoyed The Last of Us, who will be equally keen to see it fully reimagined with an impressive new look of paint and, presumably, tighter controls and a more intuitive UI as per The Last of Us 2. As was also revealed at Summer Games Fest, The Last of Us HBO series is on the cusp of release. Should the TV adaptation do well, it's not a stretch to assume Sony and Naughty Dog would be keen to capitalise on its success by promoting its source material, and having the original game looking its best in that event, with both games featuring on PS5s, makes sense from their perspective. Another inevitability, surely, is the fact we'll see another The Last of Us game at some point in the future, be that another sequel, a prequel, or some form of spin-off should the standalone multiplayer The Last of Us game perform well. Again, modernising the 2013 horror venture would allow the game's publisher and developer to bundle the would-be trilogy in one big sparkling AAA package on modern hardware. Looking at things through a less cynical, less financially driven lens, however, it should be noted that The Last of Us is one of the few big budget games out there that actually merits a fully fledged remake. Whether I or anyone else thinks it's too soon is a different argument, but Ellie and Joel's debut outing is one of the few games of the last 20 years that even has so much as earned its place in the conversation. Put sales and money and profits and coinciding television shows to one side, the original game is a bloody good one. In fact, few horror games of the modern age have captured the hearts of so many at once through its near-perfect balance of action, horror and emotive storytelling, something I don't think has been bettered since besides its own sequel several years on. As I've alluded to before, we appear to be in the golden age of horror game remakes. And while I'm unsure if it can sustain itself, if the glorious before and after screens we were treated to at Summer Games Fest are anything to go by, it seems The Last of Us Part 1 will raise the bar even higher than the one set in horror remake terms by Resident Evil 2 in 2019.
And tell me everything, right from the start.
With Resident Evil 4 now officially confirmed, talk of a Silent Hill 2 remake abound, and Dead Space and System Shock games promised for next year, it truly is a frightening time to be a horror fan. Add this to the fact Slitterhead, led by Silent Hill creator Keishiro Toyama, looks like a modern take on the old school formula and is due next year. The Callisto Protocol looks like Dead Space 4 in all but name. The Last of Us long-awaited and much-anticipated multiplayer mode has finally been confirmed. And that Bloober Team's 2016 Layers of Fear is in line for an expanded and updated variation named Layers of Fear, incorporating the first two games plus a DLC and running on Unreal Engine 5. And just the thought of keeping pace at this point seems as daunting as these games' nightmarish worlds. I'm fully aware that pretty much everything is for show during events like Summer Games Fest, but the beaming reaction to The Last of Us Part 1 trailer from Ashley Johnson, the actor who plays Ellie, seemed genuine.
Truly one of my favorite games of the past decade. Guys, what's your reaction to that?
Yeah, we hadn't seen that yet.
Yeah, you're watching it in real time.
Yeah.
She said this was the first time she'd seen the remake's new footage and seemed assuredly blown away. As much as I may have doubted it beforehand, I felt the very same way from the comfort of my living room. With no stakes in the games, the HBO series, Naughty Dog nor Sony, I still don't think we needed Part 1 as it will appear come launch day on September 2nd, 2022. but wow, am I now excited to see more. The Last of Us Remake, don't need one, but actually, now I cannot wait.
I can take care of myself.
How many close calls have we had?
I get into trouble down there. You make every shot count.
I got this.
Hope you know how to use that thing.
I've had some practice.